Friday, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Just Keep Parenting, where we have talked about lots of parenting skills, where we talked about skills that can be used in the classrooms as well at homes. But we are continuing to talk about a book, Easy to Love, Difficult to Discipline. The 7 Basic Skills for Turning Conflict into Cooperation by Dr. Becky Bailey. So we use a lot of conscious discipline here in the lab school, and as we train teachers here and have a lab school, preschool and kindergarten, we 100% believe in conscious discipline and helping children to learn how to handle their feelings and self-regulate. Even just yesterday, I was visiting with a child, and she said, "I just don't know what to choose, Miss Dory." And we were sitting on the couch, and I said, "Yeah, sometimes we have too many choices, don't we?" She said, "Yeah, there's just so many good centers." And I said, "Well, do you want me to go around with you and help you?" She said, "No, I've been around. I just don't know. I just don't know what to do." So we were sitting in the We Care area of the classroom. And I said, "Well, we have some lotion over there that you could use. Do you think you're disappointed?" No, I'm not disappointed." And I said, "Well, what about cranky? Are you cranky? Do you need some cranky cream?" "No, I'm not cranky." I said, "Well, could you be feeling nervous? Because we have nervous cream." And she said, "No, I'm not nervous." She said, "You know what I need? I need some focus cream." I said, "All right, tell me why you need some focus cream." And she said, "Because I just have too many decisions. I need to focus a little more." I thought that was brilliant from a 4-year-old, right? And so as we continue the talk today about owning our feelings, right? Because we have to own our feelings as parents, as adults, as teachers, before we can understand others' feelings. And I know we try to do it the other way, but we're not very good at it, right? So in order for us to understand their feelings, we have to accept and acknowledge our own feelings, right? And many of us didn't do this very well, right? We were programmed, we were brought up, to like stuff our feelings and to, "Why are you crying? It's not that bad. It's going to be okay. Don't worry," right? Those are things we have been programmed to say to children in the hopes that we're helping them, right? But our brain, right, people who study the brain say, yeah, no, we got to talk about those, right? And because they're going to be repressed, they're going to come out, they're going to, come out in ways that we may not want them to come out, right? So we can't teach children skills that we haven't mastered ourselves. And so as we feel, right, and I put that in italics, as we feel and express our feelings appropriately, that's a skill. I was going down the street the other day, and I had my blinker on, and I had it on for probably 10 or 20 seconds to try to merge, right? And I merged, and the lady behind me was mad. She was giving me the bird, and it was just like, but I put on my blinker, right? And so I don't know whether she was texting and didn't see the blinker, because obviously there's times that you don't see blinkers, right? But I just thought, right? She's feeling frustrated at me and doesn't quite know how to express it appropriately. Because we're all going to feel it, but sometimes we try to repress it. So when we think about feelings and feeling feelings, they are two different things. Right? So we might confuse thoughts with feelings. So when I say to you, "I feel like nothing is going my way," that's a thought, right? Because a feeling is going to be expressed like, "I'm feeling really unhappy right now. I'm feeling very frustrated right now." So there's an emotion that's connected to a feeling, right? So take a moment, answer me, and say, "How do you feel right now?" Right? What are you feeling right now at this very moment? What are you feeling? Right? And if you answered without an emotional word, it's a thought. So if you say, "I'm kind of bored right now," or "I'm happy," or I'm sad because this isn't making any sense for me," or then you're feeling something, right? You're feeling a feeling rather than feeling a thought. So in order for us to empathize with children, we must offer ourselves empathy and compassion. And frankly, my friends, we're not very good at doing that as humans, as adults, right? We just kind of stuff everything. I'm fine, I'm going to be fine, right? That's kind of one of our social nuances that has been created, right? I'm fine. How are you today? I'm fine. Yeah, your body language, your voice isn't telling me that you're fine, right? And being able to call it what it is. I'm really frustrated today, but I'm going to be okay, right? I had a teacher in here this week in tears, and I said, so let's talk about what's going on. She said, Dory, I'm really fine. And I said, I know your voice is telling me that, but your tears are telling me you're not fine. So let's just talk about it for a minute. Let's talk about your teaching, what happened with your teaching. What are you feeling right now? And then she just started sobbing, right? And things are going on at home and da 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 da, right? So it wasn't necessarily her teaching that was making her overwhelmed, right? It's the end of the semester, all these things came up, right? But we were able to have this beautiful conversation about what she was feeling and not concentrate on the fact that she's going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. But what are we feeling right now, right? So emotions are energy and motion. I loved reading that this week, right? The energy and motion. And so if we don't express it, right, we're going to fuss and fit about it just like the children do, right? We have a choice. Are we going to express it or are we going to suppress it? If we suppress it, we're probably going to end up fussing and fitting. If we express it and be able to say, I am frustrated right now. I'm overwhelmed right now. In the book, it talks about a lady who took a job after spending years at home, right? And she tried not to let her children express things at home because she was frustrated with what was going on at work, right? And so as adults, we can't use children to reflect our own internal state, right? And at the same time, helping them recognize their own feelings. Let me just read a bit of this to you from the book, and it'll make a little bit more sense. She said that there was a mother, I told you the background. And so Roberta's fear about not being good enough at work manifested itself in her actions at home. She tried to silence her self-doubt by being positive and by convincing her children that they were splendid. As Roberta struggled to feel better inside, she made comments such as, Jamie, you're wonderful. Mardell, you're such a good little girl. Desperate to stifle her anxiety, she attempted to control and forbid feelings her children might express. She made comments such as, you're all right. There's no need to be upset. I will not tolerate this. Roberta could continue using her children to play out her emotional issues until she achieved a level of comfort at work, or she could become conscious of her own battle with emotions. Right? That's a healthier way to do it than to try to put that onto our children that we teach, that we parent, right? And so being able to for us, we have two choices. We can either be egocentric, right? Or we can be empathetic. And so whatever we choose, that egocentrism or the empathy, that's what we're teaching our children. Right? We had a good discussion today in class about do as I do, right? And how that's so hard for us to be able to want to say, no, just do as I say, not as I do, right? Talked a little bit about this in last week's video. But being able to recognize that our children have a lot of critics. They have more critics in this world than they need, that they need models, right? So as we figure out how to own our feelings and how to express them appropriately, right? Because we see a lot of people who own their feelings and flip me off or yell at me or punch somebody on stage or slap somebody on stage. But that's not expressing them appropriately. So helping them, right? It goes back to my student who said that her stepmother at age 10, the child was age 10, she finally said, you can't do this as a 10-year-old. You can't throw yourself down in the middle of the grocery store and throw a fit. That's not an appropriate way to handle your feelings. And so she taught her different ways to handle her feelings, right? Go get some cranky cream. Take a deep breath. I had a parent in the booth this week that said to me, Tori, I love the fact that my child can say, he was spouting off at her. And then he said, Mom, I just needed to take a deep breath. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled at you. He's 4, right? But he recognizes that that's not the appropriate way, because we talk about that a lot. That's not appropriate. I'm feeling frustrated right now, but it is not appropriate for me to yell at you. It is not appropriate for me to hit you, to go punch the wall. But these are some things that we can do when you feel those feelings, because they're big, right? And it's not like the feelings get smaller as we're adults, as we grow into adulthood. They're still big, but hopefully we have the skills, we have the tools, we have the resources that somebody has helped us learn along the way. So thinking about feeling your feelings this week, right? Rather than having a thought about your feelings. Because as soon as we can do it as adults, then we can be better empathizers with our children. That's the goal, my friends. So just keep parenting, just keep teaching, and we'll see you next week.